What is up, FIFA Tiers? Hello and welcome back to the FUT Tiers Podcast with myself, LAJS, as well as my fellow co-hosts in B-Rad and Mersgoth. How are you all doing this week?
I am good. I'm looking forward to the fact that this weather is now about to change.
I mean, I'm good because also I get to have a fan now that if it is hot, that I can have on during the recording. And at the moment, it is a toasty 29 degrees in this room.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I was just playing golf today and although the sun's not out, it's still been really, really muggy. My house is still pretty hot, but I am looking forward. I've seen some rain on the forecast over the next few days, so I'm looking forward to it.
So I've got windows open, which is sort of why I'm not so bad. But talking of not so bad, that's probably how I'd describe the dynamic duo this week, honestly. We finally got ourselves a goalkeeper from Futties. And of course, it is everyone's favourite, the main man, Big Steve Mandander.
Big Steve.
Big Steve. Does he have 5-star skills? No, sadly not. That would be the dream to have that card back. I missed that FUT birthday. But he's obviously just moved to Stat Renee, so this now opens up the doors to transfer cards, which is why I think this is more important than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, It's not that big a deal in terms of dynamic duos. You finally get a full Futties team with a goalkeeper and left back. But the important thing is transfers matter. So when Messi and Ronaldo got their United and their PSG cards last year, that is now open season on them. Anything comes out, we can finally get them. Mendy happened last week, and well, Mers is, I don't know, his worst nightmare or his favourite thing ever in Futties Varane being out, and now with his new and improved 60 balance.
Bloody Mr. Tumble. Just no. As soon as I saw it, I was like, no, I can't believe they've gone and done it. It's also the fact that they've made this week's theme like French players as well. Like, of course we had to have a French themed week, didn't we? Because it's not EA and FIFA if there's nothing French based within their lives. I kind of really wanted it just to be Hernandez and Dembele to get the top 2 votes, but obviously not. Varane won the vote, which was even more disgusting to show that everybody doesn't understand he is so bad in game.
Let's go freeway. Who voted for what?
I absolutely voted for Mr. Tumble. I thought it'd be funny. I'm not even going to lie.
I voted Dembele and Hernandez, one on either account, basically.
Yeah, I just voted for Dembele.
Yeah, I just thought, do you know what? People complain about cards not having special cards this year, and what Varane's only got a flashback and the ones to watch.
Yeah, well,
who needs the 99 here?
it was a bit like the inevitable, wasn't it? It was coming just like Mendy. Like, everyone knew that it was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. Which promo were they going to come up in?
And they strong link to each other now because they're both premium Futties. It's so good. It's like they're back at left back and centre back again.
Yep.
Or centre back and centre back like last year.
Yeah.
Let's not pretend. But you did mention Dembele. Is he more expensive than Varane? I know he costs one more SBC.
Dembele's 1.2. Varane is 1.06. So it's 140k more for Dembele.
That's the attacker tax, right?
Yeah.
He was already 5-star, so that's not an excuse. It's not a position change. It's just... What was his fantasy FUT rated? Was it 95? It's literally just a +4.
Yeah, it is 95, and it's obviously a striker. But yeah, that card sits at 90k right now, which is, it's got 99 pace, 97 dribbling. Like, how much more could you really be going for?
Yeah, this is like when we spoke about Bale back in the day when that 98 end of an era Bale didn't seem to the difference between that and the 95 striker is not that much.
Yeah.
At this point, people just do whatever. The 85 times 10 is going to be inevitably soon, but I feel it's going to be too late for those two. It's probably going to be another, a week or so. Maybe the very beginning of September.
But do you think that about a little bit like the Alan St. Maximin, though? I know, again, it's different different positions, but that's nearly a mil for that SBC. And his 95 rated fantasy cards 135k.
Yep, +2 shooting, +2 pass. It's +2s everywhere.
Yeah, but it's also the chem. The chem.
The
Yeah,
chem,
but by this point, everyone's got chem.
how many people aren't using French at this point?
Yeah. If you haven't got an icon, you've got a premium Futties who give you strong links anyway.
And then just the icing on top, Neymar's come out as well. Just
yeah,
to
baby.
kick everything whilst it's down. We got all these, and then there's a 98 cam Neymar. I find it interesting he's not 99. I do find that part interesting. 99 was obviously the theme of the vote.
Yeah.
But
Which I think is the only thing that has stopped
and
it.
French for the week.
Yeah.
And French for the week, but they've gone for a Brazilian from the French league who's not 99.
Yeah.
Seems a bit off, but I'm shocked, but not overly shocked. And then also they've released the Icon SBC's coming out. I don't know if Pele was out last week, but now R9 is definitely out today. So yeah, everyone can complete whatever icon they want at this stage within reason. That's pretty much most of the SBCs outside of the swaps ones finally becoming live as well. Have you taken anything from it yet? And if you have, what was it? Or are you still planning on going for it? I've personally opened the 84 times 25 and it got me the Heung-min Son card, so I can't complain.
On my second account, I took the 82, the 83, and the 85 so far because I needed a fodder to do Varane and then put Varane into an 86 plus player pick. So yeah, that's what I've done so far on that account. On my main account, I've taken the 82, 83, and 84 so far.
So I've done every fodder pack apart from the 84 one at the moment. And yeah, it's just to do Neymar. I've got 3 squads left, and I've got the 84 times 20 to open, and still quite a few cards in my club that will be expendable. Like I keep quite a lot of my decent cards that I think, I will possibly use them in a series. But say like your Carlos Gil, who's probably everybody's favourite pull. He's going in SBC every time. Oscar's going in SBC every time. Benega every time. All those kind of ones. And then I've been quite fortunate because I've had quite a few dupes. Like I've had Van Dijk and Alisson dupe quite a few times, and that's obviously really good for rating wise because it's 96 and 95. And I've had, I think, Lewandowski a couple of times, and he's a dupe. So I've had some although not great players in terms of what you'd use in game, I've had some really decent high rated players for the fodder, so that I've maybe only had to use 5 special cards in some of the 89 rated SBCs and then just stick some sort of gold rare 83s in.
As I said, my main bit's been I got Son. I'm happy with how stacked my club is now. You spoke about keeping old cards. I'm pretty certain I still have my Tanganga. We know that because AJ3 was using it. So
yeah, he slated about which one you chose.
He did, and I did it for the past and present reasons.
Yeah.
But anyway, we will now. We have seen the trailer for Ultimate Team on FIFA 23 come out. It went into some detail about modes, so the Moments mode, about crossplay. What are your takes from this, Mers? I think you're the one that's mainly focused on the mode.
For me, the Moments mode looks quite interesting in terms of it might not necessarily take too much of your time up. I know a lot of people don't like squad battles, playing against AI, in the sense that you're potentially playing for 12 minutes easily in pretty much the most boring mode, whereas in this moment, you probably might only have to play for 60 seconds because it isn't necessarily a whole match. You just put it into a scenario, so you could be put at the end of a match where you may be a goal down, you got to win it or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting in that. It reminds me back of the 2010 World Cup game where it had these World Cup moments or qualifying moments where you got to play certain moments throughout the World Cup history and stuff, where it might be you were England playing against Greece and you had to score the equalising goal or something like that type of sort of situation. The reward side of things, again, adds an extra element of trying to build up packs and stuff like that, because I think at the end of the day, right, you got to play the numbers game when you're on FIFA. when you want to try and pack good things, the more packs you open, the better chance you got getting something good. And this mode just adds to that element in some ways. It does mean in some ways there's more to grind because of it, but it looks like a nice little addition to FIFA Ultimate Team, I would say.
I suppose it could be where they like maybe put some of their objective cards into, though, if you know what I mean.
Potentially,
like the ways to get them, rather than put them into just like, oh, you need to play this many squad battles games or do this. Maybe they could utilize it for that as well.
I mean, it does mention obviously the season rewards and how they do change each season through the progression of the mode, so that they could stick some in there like they do with the season objectives for just generally. So there is potential for that to happen. And after that, it got into arguably the biggest change: chemistry. Having interesting hybrids is going to get either a lot easier, depending on who you ask, or a lot harder, and that fully depends if you want boosts.
For me, it's exactly that. Like, you can build a hybrid, but you might not get that like equivalent of 10 chemistry in the current system boosts that you get on a player. Whereas you can have the player, but you're not going to have a boost. So it's a bit of a tricky one for me, because I was like, when I first heard about the change, I was like, oh, great. So in some ways, if I wanted to be a bit different and not build a top 5 league team or something like that, I could have a couple of players from the Eredivisie, a couple of Liga NOS players, a couple of Turkish league players, maybe an MLS player, Chinese league player, and stuff like that. But now I'm thinking about it, it's like, that would be nice. But at the same time, when you consider like a lot of these beginner players that you start off with, and it's not until you get to the point of having a Team of the Year player that you kind of go, oh, you don't necessarily need a chem style boost necessarily on a player. But in that early stage, you kind of need it, because if you had a 70 pace, say, midfielder or something like that, and you had a hunter on them, and it gives them an extra 10 pace, the fact that you can not have that kind of like makes it a bit more of a tricky situation to decide where you're going to be leaning towards with building teams, whether you're just going to do an Atani and just build in a one league team or one nation team or something like that, which is a bit boring. And then the other situation is you're probably also going to see a lot of people the same teams over and over again. Like, if you got the OP players, because everyone finds out by watching content creators and stuff like, or just trying to find out themselves what are the most OP players. So you're just going to probably end up just seeing everybody you have in the starting 11, regardless of the chem styles, just chem boosts, just having the most OP players, the most ratish team possible.
I mean, speak for yourself. I'm still going to be my old crazy self, sticking Tadic in teams and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. But most people are like Timmy TikToks. They just follow the sheep. They follow the herd. Like, they see someone saying, right, the best goalkeeper in the game right now is Mainan. Use him. Okay, and then everyone starts using him. Whereas no one really truly thinks for themselves unless you happen to be that content creator.
It was like that at the start with Mendy, wasn't it? Mendy was the OP goalkeeper. Like, so everybody had Mendy.
I mean, I liked my Timo Horn in form. He didn't do me wrong. Still hasn't done me wrong, actually. I did get rid of him, but he never did me wrong.
But it's like the one thing to sort of test out or try out and see will be just how much of a difference it makes playing those two teams against each other. So a team that has the chem boost and a team that doesn't, and just seeing quite how much it reflects in game, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I know I'm not looking forward to it in purely the sense of that I might have to rein in some of my stupidity, and I do like my stupidity when it comes to building teams.
They can't have ruined it too much, because then the idea of Ultimate Team is basically rendered pointless, isn't it?
Yeah, in a way.
A little bit, but I still
The creativity side.
The creativity side, yeah.
I still think you and your crazy side of squad building and stuff will work perfectly fine. I think, if anything, it potentially more benefits you in some ways, because where you go maybe where you have these 30 chem or 40 chem or 50 chem teams because you're like, I want to do this as a challenge or something like that in FUT champs. Now you won't have them going into negative stats. You at least have whatever it has on the card at a minimum.
Yeah, just no boost. Yeah.
Spoiler for my video this week, by the way, on that I'm planning on using a team that's got 37 chemistry. So yeah, not going to be ideal, but we'll get there. We'll get a win in champs. I'm sure of it.
Definitely isn't, because like I've done some of them build a team episodes where I've not been able to get full chemistry, and the difference in the cards is ridiculous. Like they suddenly feel like they are like statues trying to be moved left to right. It's crazy.
Normally, the thing that will help me with, but I'll still have my little sort of almost feng shui about it, is that normally there's one player that will be on 7 chemistry and I hate it, and I'm just looking at like, no, I've built this like proper hybrids. It's going to be that I can use better players and don't have to care about that 7 chem player. But also I'll still know like that the hybrids I want to build don't even really matter at that stage. So it helps if I want to do it, but then almost the craziness behind it's gone. Yeah, it's kind of a knock-on effect in that respect. The next thing they did address was crossplay. We're aware it's going to be something we get to change in the main menu settings. You can opt in, you can opt out. It's going to be in any of the 1v1 game modes in FIFA. They've said that, and I believe there is a plan. I've heard there's a plan to try and introduce it to pro clubs, possibly around September. I don't know how valid that is. I know I remember hearing it, but I can't remember where. So not sure if it's the most reliable source, but it's more out of hope for me that they actually stick to that if they did say it.
Well, it's just one of the only, like, not only mode, but like one of the modes that has been crying out for it most. Like, PlayStation users certainly don't need it so much because there's umpteen million people play PlayStation. The market on Xbox is way less. We know that from the market and stuff. But it's just that it's in pro clubs, like that's the mode where you play with your mates. Yes, some people play it competitively and stuff, but like for you guys as well, like as streamers, like not all your viewers will be PlayStation. Some of them will be Xbox. So if you wanted to do a pro club stream or pro club's lobby and have some interaction with your viewers, you can have that if you've got crossplay. If not, again, you're shutting out some of your viewers, not intentionally, but just because it doesn't allow it. And it's just, yeah, it's the one thing that they really should have made sure was happening first when they thought about crossplay, in my opinion.
I mean, I just want to say one thing about crossplay, and in particular, the shared market. If we thought the market this year was bad, imagine what it potentially could be like next FIFA with more people and more cards and stuff, like situation on the market. We talked about how obviously the minimum rating impacts this year was kind of the big factor of why the market was so bad. But obviously when you amplify that with more people packing the lower end cards, might not necessarily have too much effect on top tier cards, maybe. We don't know quite yet. But on the lower end, you might even see lower prices. So making money might be harder.
My only thought on that is, does that count?
In what regards?
Crossplay. Because isn't crossplay really about being able to play somebody? Because the thing is, you can turn it off. So wouldn't that mean you can effectively affect the market by being able to toggle it?
No. The market...
No, it's gameplay.
Yeah. That's just the gameplay side of things. That's just like your connection to the server, maybe. But it won't affect the market. You can't opt... That would be weird if you could opt out of the market, like, for the shared market and like an Xbox only or PlayStation only market.
Yeah.
Because then Xbox users would go, surely if we can earn more money, like packing a player, it's better to stay in my own market rather than the shared market. That would really be weird and effectively give Xbox users potentially an advantage. But
well, that's what I mean. So do you think there's going to be a shared market now, a completely shared market?
They've confirmed that.
Yeah,
They have. Okay. Yeah, then the market's in the mud.
The only other thing they really said in that sort of trailer was that there is a World Cup mode. We knew this already. They purely went into it and said, oh yeah, so about the World Cup, there is one. We can't get into it, but there is a World Cup. Thank you, EA. Genius is there. Round of applause.
Sounds unfinished.
That's almost as unfinished as real life one, yeah. There's not really much to comment on about the World Cup mode. Let's just hope it's similar to the FIFA 18 one. I didn't get to play the FIFA 10 one, which I know you've mentioned a few times here, Mers, with the Moments mode and stuff like that, so I was none the wiser. Yeah, there's not really much to touch on with the World Cup, but there is a lot to touch in terms of real-world football. There was two main games, and, well, one of them involves my side, so we're just going to leave that to one side for a second as we get to slander Man United again. What is happening? What is happening to Man United now? Like, the mud is so deep.
Did any of you catch the Gary Neville and Jamie Redknapp sort of face-off about it?
I did, yes.
Yeah,
and
so
I did catch that.
So
Look at me when I'm talking to you.
a lot of obviously what Gary Neville's saying is a lot of stuff that maybe sort of just regular football fans and stuff wouldn't know about, but it does seem like being close to the company, being also affiliated still with a lot of people that will be within the company, means that it does seem privy to a bit more information about the ins and outs of what's going on there, and it's certainly I sort of had an agreement with both sides. I was sort of like, well, yes, so the foundations of that business, i.e. your management, and then where that leads to, and he was talking also about the ground in dire repair or need of repair and things like that. Mm-hmm. Yes, I do agree with that, but at the end of the day, the players are still, they're still players, and they still could go out there and get a result. You know what I mean? Like it's not like that you can blame all that on the fact that they just went 4-0 down to Brentford in the first half. Like it's deep. It's not just one problem. It's a collection of everything that is going on, and at the moment, it's a struggle to find one thing that's working.
Yeah, but I would say you can use something like Newcastle as an example, right? Where an owner not really caring too much about investing in the club, letting the stadium go into dire straits, that sort of situation, not investing in the squad. And you just had to look at how Newcastle as a club was functioning for many years, getting relegated twice, having to come back up, that sort of situation. Now, luckily for Man United, they have more revenue, so they are more easily able to stay where they were for so long. Also, they also had Alex Ferguson, who for so long, when the Glazers arrived, was able to put that club, in some ways, punching slightly above its weight for the year under the Glazers. But then, since obviously he's left, it's just the cracks are showing more and more and more as time goes on. And in some ways, yeah, they do need to invest, not just in the stadium, but in terms of the way they do recruitment, buying the right players. You just have to look at how some of the names that are being associated with the club at the moment. It's like, what sort of recruitment policy do they even have? Like, it just shows where is the ambition realistically within that club.
There was an interesting thing I saw on TalkSport, actually, where they listed off every signing since Sir Alex Ferguson left, and it's actually pretty damning. Like, the amount of them have actually been successes. When you actually think about it, it's worrying. Because some of them are big name values. Obviously, big players came in, but didn't do anything, or weren't used correctly, or things like that. And some of the ones you end up maybe classifying as successes are the likes of Fellaini, which, again, is also concerning on the other end of the scale.
Well, yeah, because he was essentially a panic buy, wasn't he?
He was a panic buy when they were chasing Cesc Fabregas for so long.
Yeah.
That Fabregas said, no, I want to stay at Barcelona, and then joined Chelsea a year or two later. So, some of the things going wrong at Man United at the moment, the players seem to just go 1-0 down, and then their head just drops immediately and they're done.
Yeah.
It genuinely only takes one goal to beat Man United at the moment. I know they got a 2-1 against Brighton last week, but I mean, that was...
Did you see though that bit he was talking about, like that whole premise about playing Ronaldo? And he's not wrong, is he? Like, what sort of message does it send when you're playing someone who has very audibly stated that he doesn't want to be there?
Spurs Harry Kane would be my counter argument.
Yeah.
But I get the point. And to be fair, last year I said, yeah, sell Kane if he wants to go, sell him.
Well, you have to, isn't it? Because it's a little bit like
player.
a poison, isn't it?
Yeah, fortunately it turned out not to be that way for Kane long term.
Yes.
Yeah, it absolutely can make an already rotten club in United even worse.
Yeah. Just plants little seeds in some of those players that, you know, maybe did see their future there or are still young and looking for, you know, to maybe make their mark at Man United. Think, actually, is this really the place I want to be at? Is this really where it's going to happen for me?
The thing that worries me is, why is Varane not starting? Is there something happening between Ten Hag and Varane that we don't know about? Because he got benched for the first 2 games. I don't get it. Lisandro Martinez isn't... He was at fault for the 3rd goal. Ben Mee towering above him. If that's a actual... I know I said I didn't want to sort of judge him based off height, but in situations like that, against someone like Ben Mee, against an Ivan Toney or someone, it's just going to cause problems.
Do you think it's maybe just a bit of stubbornness of him sticking by somebody that he's brought to the club?
Potentially.
I think the solution is play him holding midfield. Holding midfield, you can get away with playing someone who's 5'9", something on those lines. Look at Kante, and he does a job. It doesn't factor in. It's all about sort of clean passing, defensive positioning, which is what you'd think they'd sign Lisandro Martinez for, and then you play a 4-time Champions League winner at centre-back. Instead, you play Scott McTominay or Fred, and then a 5'9" centre-back.
Yeah, and I mean, if anything, the one person who's deserved to actually be dropped from that team so far on performance is Maguire, wasn't it? Not really them. So, yeah, it does beg a question, I suppose. Yeah.
But if you want to insist on playing Maguire, that's the solution.
It is,
just take McTominay out, put Lisandro at centre defensive mid or centre mid, and then bring in Varane.
Yeah.
The fact we're talking about bringing in Varane, it's almost like he's signed last year. We're talking about that again. So, we're just talking about introducing Varane into the Man United team.
Well, the other thing is you just have to look at the Thomas Frank interview after the game, and they asked about Martinez, and he openly said they looked at what Brighton did, saw that he couldn't handle the physicality, so they just went for him basically with the physicality, and it paid out for Brentford. And you just got to think, how many other teams that are in the bottom half of the table that will have physical players will do just exactly the same if they keep playing Martinez. Centre back.
Without a doubt.
Bournemouth will love it. You're telling me a front 2.
Man City.
No, I'm going. No,
yeah.
We're saying bottom half.
Oh yeah, bottom half of the table sides.
That's what that's where we're going with this. Man City. Yeah, Man City.
Man City are going to destroy them.
Haaland could be.
Haaland is going to make him look like a little boy.
I know. About to say, if Haaland's injured, they'll still fancy it. United are just a shambles anyway.
Yeah.
But Bournemouth will be absolutely licking their lips at this. They'll be seeing physical game. We need to just target Martinez.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a front 2 of Kiefer Moore, who's an absolute giant, and you've got Dominic Solanke, who's not he's not small in his own right.
Yeah.
They would have him for breakfast almost.
Wouldn't mind seeing Mitrovic versus him as well. I don't think that'll be a good battle for him.
Exactly.
I mean, that is the equivalent of when he went up against Trent with Mitrovic. Mitrovic going against Martinez would be like when he went up against Trent.
Yeah.
Except Trent's a right back, and you expect that to happen. You expect that to happen with Martinez, but not because you directly want to pair them up against each other.
No. I liken it to like seeing like your new 7 foot, 300-pound wrestler go up against a jobber, from his local town, and he's just going to get absolutely squashed to pieces.
Absolutely. But one thing we need to touch on is getting Henderson out on loan a mistake? Because when you look at the games that have happened this weekend,
Yeah.
De Gea has had 2 absolute howlers. I've seen
Yep.
people try and pin it on Eriksen. I'm sorry, I can't pin that on Eriksen. People have said there's certain midfielders that in Eriksen's situation, sure, they'll be okay. Someone like a Moussa Dembele type who relishes sort of someone being on him and he'll just dribble out of it. Eriksen's not that kind of player. Eriksen doesn't want multiple people on him
No.
in a defensive position.
But let's not
De
forget.
Gea's just sold him down the river.
Yeah,
and
let's
then
not forget in that position, the only person who can see the right view of where he's passing that ball or playing that ball to is De Gea.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so Eriksen is there, and yes, he knows he's got a man close, but he won't know exactly how close that guy is to be able to receive a ball and maybe look to distribute it. And De Gea's still giving it to him anyway, so Eriksen's probably there thinking, well, he's giving me the ball, so obviously I must have a little bit of space.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got to trust the reason the goalkeeper's thrown it out to you. But no, he hasn't. He's put him straight under the cosh, and that they did that time and time again from the back, and I just thought, what is going on here? When do you learn your lesson?
And Maguire was open. Now, most people hate Maguire, but if you just pass that to Maguire, everything's fine. You don't concede the second goal.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter who it was. Whoever was open, you'd pass the ball to, wouldn't you?
Exactly. Open player in Maguire, marked, 2-man marked pretty much, Eriksen.
Yeah.
No, you just don't do that. And then the first goal as well, jeez, the popping on wrists.
Yeah.
I mean, I get a clanger happens every now and then. But to have the first 2 goals be purely almost 100% down to De Gea is not a good look. And when Henderson, and we'll move on to this game now, ended up saving a penalty and putting off some crucial saves in a 1-0 win for Forest, that was more than controversy in its own right, it does seem like the interview he gave when everyone said, oh, he's a bit of an egotist, I'm glad he's out, he's toxic. Maybe he's onto something.
And you'd understand that strike if that strike was from within like 10 yards, but it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, plenty of time to gather behind the ball and get enough behind it for that to not go in, but no, he didn't. And that's just, I think that just like kind of summed up what was going on in perfectly, you know.
Mm-hmm. And Luke Shaw, I don't know how Luke Shaw's still starting, actually. They brought in Malacia and they're putting him off on the bench when Luke Shaw's putting in, 5 out of 10 performances? Below average for sure.
I'd struggle to see anybody there that's putting more than that, though.
To be fair, a lot of the names in that Man United squad are starting, and you wonder why. Maguire, Shaw, McTominay. Bruno could even have some question marks as well thrown over his name.
Yeah.
I'll throw Sancho in the mix, Rashford.
All of them. Ronaldo as well. But, I mean, we know we don't want to play. This is what I mean. This is they are in such trouble that, like, I can't honestly see where... I'm not talking about a win. I can't honestly, at the moment, see where a goal's coming from.
Yeah, it was an own goal there. Their one against Brighton. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've not actually scored a natural goal.
No, and I can't see where it's coming from, genuinely. Unless it's a penalty, I can't see where it's coming from.
You're thinking they're getting that far up the pitch? That's brave.
Well, yeah. This is true.
But it's at this point, you think, who do you give a chance? Is Eric Bailly fit? Do you want to see Eric Bailly back? Because he pulled in some okay performances at times last season, I think. Could be wrong.
Well, if he is...
You're struggling to think, like, midfield, Pogba left, Matic left, Lingard left, Van der Beek. Do you give Van der Beek a chance? It's almost telling that he's not been given a chance. And Hannibal was good in pre-season, from what I remember. Hannibal... Oh, actually, I say good. Hang on, sorry. I remember why I said he was good. Didn't he just snap a Liverpool player or something? That might have been in the Liverpool game last season.
But then that's the thing, like, Sancho was good pre-season.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, when you come into games that really matter and you've got teams coming at you like Brentford, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, let's not take anything away from Brentford. Like, they played...
not in the slightest.
They were brilliant and they took it to Man United. They closed them down very quickly. The counter-attack goal, Ivan Toney's pass there was absolutely inch perfect. Like, for a striker to be passing the ball like that is just... That's what you want to see. You want to see that he's not just someone who's going to get you goals. He's going to also be there to play that sort of pass to get you to get you in on goal yourself. So that was I just think any club right now are going at Man United with some confidence that they're going to cause them some problems, and that is bad news for the current Man United side.
Forest, as I mentioned briefly, the Henderson stuff. Henderson had one of the best games I've seen of his.
Mm-hmm.
A penalty save, a weak penalty save, but controversy throughout this game.
Yeah.
West Ham went a goal up, and it got disallowed for a two-handed shove by Antonio off the ball in the build-up. What are your thoughts on that if you've seen it? Because to me, I thought immediately I didn't even have to wait for VAR. I said, that's a free kick.
Yeah, which was a similar one to one we're going to talk about in a bit. But it was a free kick, so it just needed to be stopped there. I don't really understand why it's carried on. But yeah, unsurprisingly, that was ruled out.
And then, of all things, Forest to then go up the other end. They started the game actually really well, from what I remember. I thought they were going to get absolutely smashed again, but they held up their end of the bargain for a fair bit of the first half. I'd say they created some good chances, and the goal is something you'd see on FIFA.
Yeah,
Lingard shoots in about 10 yards, maybe 12 yards out. It hits Ben Johnson, and then that ricochets onto. I'm gonna have to look up the name. It's like Awonyi. I'm gonna say
Awonyi. Yeah, something like that.
It's hit Awonyi's knee. Also, Brad, you've not been telling us this, but I'm pretty certain there's been a goal in the Liverpool.
I didn't want to then interrupt, but literally just as you were then talking about that goal, Zaha has just scored. Yep.
Zaha has just scored, and I said to my brother, I fancy a draw for Palace today.
I think Liverpool will win. Liverpool should have had 2 goals in the first 5 minutes. With Milner, and I didn't see who had the other shot, but yeah, Milner should definitely have scored. Blasted it over the bar with no goalkeeper. But no, Wilfred Zaha has just put them 1-0 up. So still fancy Liverpool to get the win, but yeah, that is how we currently stand.
The goal was an absolute calamity.
Mm-hmm.
Like Fabianski got sold. If Fabianski reads the shot, he's gambled. He's thinking he's going far post. He's gone near. Then that's not going in because Fabianski committed the other way. He couldn't do anything. He's powerless. And then the incident that actually is game changing, a penalty, Stonewall penalty all day long.
Without a doubt.
Do you think that should be a red card?
Yes.
I agree. The way he looks, like he's positioning his body, he's like almost looking to deliberately handball that in some ways.
Oh, I think that's exactly what it is, though. But that's the thing. They've looked at the incident, taken into the fact where Henderson is, and that shouldn't be the case. So they're saying, oh, well, he's only been given a yellow card because Henderson was there and probably would have saved it anyway. But I don't think that's necessarily the case. Like, yes, Henderson was behind the ball, but we just talked about De Gea. This was a lot closer than that. He could have fumbled it. It could have just hit like part of his arm and still gone in behind him, part of his chest, shoulder, whatever. Like, it was a short range shot, and the chances are that Henderson would have saved it, but you can't treat it that way. So you have to look at the incident as an individual incident. He dove across there and he stuck his arm out and stopped the goal scoring opportunity. That is a deliberate handball and red card.
Then we're all in agreement on that. That's good. But Declan Rice takes the penalty.
I don't know why.
Is a surprise. You've got, I believe at that point, they had 2 strikers on the pitch. I don't know if maybe Scamacca hadn't quite come on at that point, but you at least have Mikel Antonio on the pitch. You've got Ben Rama. You've got a fair few players on the pitch who can take penalties, and you opt for Declan Rice.
Yeah.
And that's an advert for good old Gareth. If we get to a penalty shootout, put him further back. Remember, he used to be a centre-back.
Yeah. What we look at as a non-West Ham fans who don't know too much about who their penalty takers are generally, or reasons why maybe as to the penalty taker was Declan Rice in that incident. The fact of the matter is, at that point, there were forwards on, goal-scoring, proven forwards to take that penalty. So that to me is enough in its right on its own to have said, why have we got a defensive midfielder taking our penalty? And it was, and even so, then you then need to look at the penalty and think that was a really poor penalty. That was, but he basically passed it to the bottom left-hand corner.
But to sum up the game, West Ham were criminally unlucky in
Yes,
terms
definitely.
of decisions, in terms of hitting the bar twice and it bouncing down. That happening once is bad luck. Happening twice.
Yeah.
And was it both times? Was it Ben Rama or was one of them
I just remember the Fornals one. If Ben Rama did one,
free kick.
yeah, no. So I remember Fornals shot from outside because when I first saw it from the back angle, I actually thought it looked like it went over the line as it came down, but then they showed it like on Match of the Day back, and yeah, very unfortunate.
Yeah, Ben Rama's is about a 25-yard free kick that's hit the crossbar and bounced down as well. So.
Yeah.
It was just a very unfortunate day for them, and somehow they're 19th, looking at just United beneath them.
Yeah, maybe they should let Declan Rice take the free kick.
We're going to go on to Mers's team next in the Leicester-Arsenal game. 4-2. Mers, do Arsenal seem to have found the secret of the kickoff glitch?
Potentially. I mean, first and foremost, it's a good result at the end of the day. It's a good start to the season so far. I think it was definitely a good time to play a team like Leicester. They seem to be a little bit in decline or lost a bit of their old identity. Like, they're not as formidable as what they once were, maybe say like 18 months ago type sort of situation.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I'd agree with that.
But 2 goals from Jesus and 2 assists. He's slightly proven me wrong at the moment, but I think I've said this is I still think he will struggle against maybe like the deep line, so maybe like against some of the bottom teams, maybe like a Fulham or something like that. He might be able to get the assists in those sort of games, but not the goals. So in terms of like where I'm thinking with his final goal tally, I still think it might be like the mid-teens sort of situation, but I don't think it's like golden boot sort of contending, even though it kind of looks like that at the moment.
Yeah, I mean we're early stages still, aren't we, at the moment?
Yeah.
But I mean that first goal was just absolutely beautiful. The dink finesse of that was just nice to see. He looks like a man who is very happy currently with his situation, and it's nice to see.
It feels like he's got a point to prove, really.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. Probably just sort of a way of saying, look, I was there all that time, and you chose not to play me. I'll go and do it for someone
Very
else.
interesting when they face City. They'll be very interesting.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. There's a few though things like that. I feel like I can't wait for that to happen when Chelsea play City, to see like Sterling's side of things, because Sterling was obviously a little bit of a man out of form, but also I feel like out of anybody, he will be trying his best to like prove them wrong, if you know what I mean. Like he seems that kind of guy. Like he would want to stick it to them.
He always wanted to stick it to Liverpool. Did he ever actually get a goal against Liverpool? Because I feel that was a stat that he either very rarely scored against them or he didn't score against them for City. Yeah, Leicester, as I said, I worry for them. They've lost their captain in Kasper Schmeichel and are playing Danny Ward, who I don't think's up to the goalkeeper role. They've not really replaced him. They brought in, was it Smithies? Did I see?
Yeah, no, not.
They brought in someone.
Not in comparison, is he? He's not. You know, Schmeichel was pretty class. Like,
yeah, I feel he was pretty underrated in terms of what he did for Leicester, and Fofana's being linked, and actually I think a Sky Sports report said not too long ago. Hang on, where is it? Wesley Fofana increasingly unsettled at Leicester and feels the club's pricing him out of a move to Chelsea. It seems to be falling apart.
Madison,
I don't like that. I do like Leicester as a team.
It's also that thing as well, and like this is no offense to anybody, like because we know with all certain science and technology, and not only that, but your desire and stuff as your own individual player, like what you want out of your career in life. But Jamie Vardy now is getting a little bit like beyond it, right? Like we're not talking about the Jamie Vardy that was there that won them the league because he was just almost undefendable. Like whatever, I'm going to make up a word, undefenderable. Right, so he was very
Unplayable.
tricky for players to defend him because he would either play in on last man or somehow he would just it's whatever happened. He was tenacious. And I don't think if it seems like he's just lacking at the moment. It might be because of the general feeling around the club, potentially, or the likes of players expressing that they're not happy. Like I just said, Maddison is one of them again, rumoured. And so I think I don't know, but that doesn't help. Certainly having like your main striker performing lacklusterly.
And finally, talking of lackluster, the performance of Spurs. My God, we were terrible yesterday.
Weren't great.
Weren't great. Weren't great's an understatement. Spurs were awful. The fact we've got away with a point from that game is a miracle. I don't even know where to begin.
Well, Harry Kane said
honestly
it.
Don't even know where to begin.
Harry Kane said it in the interview, didn't he? It's always good getting a winner.
It's always great getting a winner.
And the interviewer had to correct him and said that was actually the goal to draw. And he said, yeah, but actually it felt like a win. Like,
it
that
really
was exactly
did.
it.
You could tell from the celebrations post-match.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not shocked that I've been seeing people ripping into Spurs fans left and right based off of the fact that Basuma's going up to the home crowd, the away crowd, and treating it almost as if we've won a trophy.
Yeah.
Let's start with the first goal of the game, Koulibaly's goal.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute class from Koulibaly, but it's an advert for zonal marking being complete rubbish.
Well, yeah, what like, don't get me wrong, he's a centre-back, so to have that sort of technique is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Well done. Like, and he had a shot earlier from outside the box that they slated him for, like, literally minutes earlier, and I thought, actually, like, technically, and the way he struck that, with his weak foot, I would be a little bit concerned if he struck one with his strong foot, so don't say things too soon, and then, lo and behold, he goes and volleys one in the goal. But, yeah, most professional footballers who have got all the time in the world to volley it from there are probably going to score. He could have chested it, done a little, like, round the world, like, over the top skill move and still would have had time to score it. I don't know what the defence were doing.
So it's almost as if Antonio Conte had seen maybe a previous thing with Chelsea going near post. I don't know what it is, but there was 4 men at near post. And it was 4 men of Chelsea at back post. And poor Son and Emerson are focusing the system so much that Son's told Emerson, if you watch it back, no one really's pointed it out. Son sees all those people behind him. He's got the criticism for it for not tracking any of them. Son points to Emerson Royale, who's pretty certain he's a dilly-dally. He was messing with his shin pads, looks up, and then doesn't really do much. But Son tries to point out to him, he's like, look, there's a couple of them there. Maybe pick them up. And he's Royale's instead focusing on Sterling, which, sure, Sterling post, but the back post threat, sure. If he scores, Royale won't hear the end of it. But some common sense got to be, why is Koulibaly, a 6'5", 6'6" man, being paid no attention?
Yeah.
The fact he scored a volley, if that was a header from there, then that looks even worse, arguably.
Yeah, I mean, he'd had a couple of chances.
You give a free header to someone who's 6'5", then you get murked even more. The fact he scored a volley is almost distracting in a way from how poor the defending is. Yeah, then we move on to some of the controversial incidents. So
there were several.
So, right. I'm on the side of that Bentancur just about got the ball. And from there, even if it was a foul, and the referee's got a great position of it, the way the referee's standing, it looks like he gets the ball. So I don't blame the referee in there. It's also almost a minute earlier. You really can't pull the game that far back. The Richarlison offside, I can understand Chelsea fans on. I'm not gonna purely go in here and just decide to be a complete dick, but Richarlison's one I can understand. He's in an offside position. He's in He's not between the ball and Mendy. Mendy's got a clear shot of it, but he interferes in the play. He could easily just stick a leg out, and that can change what Mendy's decision's going to be. He delays his dive as a result of it. So I'm not going to be delusional and say completely unaffecting a Lamau. But what is Jorginho doing?
Yeah.
I think that gets all this distraction from the controversy here. It all comes from Jorginho being a complete tool.
The little flick up thing.
The little flick up, trying to almost do a back, almost what?
Well, we know Tuchel weren't a fan of that. He got subbed off not long after.
Yeah, I mean, Tuchel said that it wasn't related to that. That's
Come
not
off
true.
it.
He can't say that in the post-match interview. I was like, yeah, he did that. It was stupid. I just don't get it.
No.
As soon as I saw him do that, I was almost celebrating then, because you could tell. Richarlison changed the game in terms of the energy that Spurs had, but then the defence for the second goal that Chelsea scored, which I'll say there's a tiny bit of controversy in my opinion here. Firstly, the Spurs defence almost felt like it was... This is not the controversial bit. The Spurs 4-back almost felt like they were still trying to play 3-back. It's with Romero going to the man and then Dyer going to the man, there's only Davies left. And it's almost like they think they've still got a wing-back on the other side. Davies is screwed there. If he goes to Sterling, the goal happens like it did. If he doesn't, Sterling's got free space to shoot, and what can you do?
Yeah.
Wasn't Reece James already booked and jumped into the crowd, though? Isn't that a red card? If you jump into the crowd, that's a yellow card offence. He was booked for the tactical foul in the first half on Son. If by the letter of the law here and the referee's screwing Chelsea over, does he not just send him off there?
Yeah.
Does he not just send him off there and, there's an agenda? No, if there's an agenda, he sends him off there and Chelsea fans are even more furious. He's jumped in the crowd on a yellow card and nothing. The coaches aren't allowed to leave their technical area. Tuchel's running halfway down the thing.
Yeah, literally halfway down the pitch. Yep.
Arguably, there should be 2 red cards there, one for Tuchel and one for Reece James. But don't worry, just gloss over that because there's even more controversy.
Yeah, I mean,
at least this way, Conte would still be on the touchline for the next game. If Tuchel's sent off there, then there's nothing with Conte and Tuchel.
he's got no one to do-si-do with. Yeah.
Exactly.
I shook my head with your first 2. I don't agree with your first 2 accounts. The one being that I think that was a foul, and I think that so when I said earlier about when you said about the Antonio push, why was it not given straight away? I also think the same about that foul. Just give it, and then there's no controversy about that goal because it wouldn't have happened. There'd have been no build-up. But yes, 44 seconds after that has happened, you cannot suddenly decide that was the thing that, led to that goal because there's 44 seconds of play. Come on now.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's about 6 phases of play.
Yeah,
my argument is if you look at the referee's angle, where the referee sees it from, he sees Bentancur going for the tackle, he sees the ball change direction, and then the man go. Yeah. So from the referee's perspective, he's more than entitled to play that on. If he thinks the Bentancur's got the ball, then what reason has he got to say, well, that's a foul?
Yeah, I get it.
He sees the ball change direction, sure. It's the thing that happens later on that makes this tenfold in terms of an incident.
Way more, yeah. The other thing is the Richarlison offside thing. Basically, it's something that was said on Match Today and something that I actually thought at the time. If we're going to start shooting from outside the box and people are going to start saying that someone's inside the box interfering with play, then I think we've got a big problem. Because there was a lot of space between him and Richarlison and Mendy for Mendy to get good enough eyes on that ball. Yes, like you say, Richarlison could affect the play if it hit him, but then if it hits him, he's offside. So that's fine. Mm-hmm. But it didn't. So in that sense, Mendy's option as a keeper, knowing that one, the player in front of him is offside, so if it hits him, he's protected anyway. He just needs to follow the path of the ball. That's fine. So I think there needs to be a line of thinking, well, this was outside the box. It can't be directly offside from him being there because otherwise we're going to end up saying that basically everyone's just going to be shooting from 6 or 8 yards and then football becomes boring. And, where do we draw the line? Does that mean if someone was in the box for Fabian Schär's goal for Newcastle does that mean that would be ruled out when that was absolute banger from even further away? It's just it will be another one of them rules that will just get worse and worse and worse the more it happens. So I think they need to maintain that unless it actually strikes that person, if they're not directly stood right in front of the goalie and there's a good distance between them and the goalkeeper and them and the shot, no, it's not interfering with play. That's fine. For me, I had the game at 3-1 if I thought about actual goals and actual incidents, because for me, because of the what I said about the Tottenham one, and obviously there's another incident that I'm sure we'll come on to in a second, both of your goals are disallowed. And
so you say 3-1 still?
Yep, because Harry Kane should put that goal away. Whatever happened there, I don't know. He's dragged that so far wide when he's through on goal that I just couldn't believe it myself, and I'm sure you couldn't at the time as well. Probably thought that was a shoe on for a goal. So that's my one. And then the Havertz from Reece James's cross. I don't know how he's put that wide either.
Sterling as well.
Yeah.
They should have murdered us. They should have murdered us. They didn't take their chances, and bad decisions have gone against them.
Yeah.
And that's how the results happened.
Yes.
It's if Chelsea were clinical, that result doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Simply put, they only had 3 shots on target all game, the same amount as Spurs, and I don't get. I get blaming the ref, and I get all this stuff here, but there's got to be some criticism of the players finishing.
Oh, of course.
Not the positioning, the passing, the play was brilliant.
Yeah.
But you've got to criticise somebody finishing here.
Yeah.
Sterling can't afford to miss that many chances and sky them.
No.
I sent him for golden boot, for God's sake. Like, you can't be sky. You just can't be doing that.
No. And
But then because
arguably,
of the decisions, it's now more the referee agenda and Spurs cheating than we've not taken our chances. And we've been wasteful.
Arguably, for me, Loftus-Cheek should have given that ball away a little bit earlier than he did. I think he'd gotten so far and then decided to try and score with, score when he was clearly obstructed by defenders. It just happened that it kept falling at his feet, and he did give it away to Sterling. And Sterling did really well to find all the space in the world, and then smashes it over the bar. That was ridiculous. But let's get on to the other incident. Why Romero wasn't sent off.
Sent off. So I would disagree with sent off. I don't know the rulings on hair pulls.
There isn't one.
But I would assume at that stage it's the same as a shirt pull, in which that would be a yellow card offence, that would be a free kick. Fine. VAR cannot give a free kick / yellow card. They can only send him off. And if that's not a red card offence, VAR can't change that decision. The responsibility of this falls on Anthony Taylor entirely. And to me, from when I'm watching him, Chelsea fans say that he's looking at the incident directly. I disagree. I think he's just ball watching. It looks to me like Anthony Taylor in that situation is just ball watching and misses it. Suddenly sees a player on the floor and goes, "What's happened?" I'm pretty certain the linesman's on the far side doesn't see it, and that's how it's missed. And then Chelsea weirdly defend the corner as well. There's 3 Spurs players going up for a header almost uncontested, and it goes in. That's my defence of this. It's absolutely a free kick, absolutely a yellow card. But as far as I'm aware, I'm pretty certain there was a free kick, no card given as well previously for an incident on Guendouzi by Fellaini. Is the only historic incident I can see in the Premier League.
So there was Huth.
Huth as well, is there?
Huth got a 3-match ban retrospectively for pulling Fellaini's hair.
Okay, then that may well come in for Romero in hindsight then.
Yeah.
But if that's already been considered, then this makes this even more baffling. Then maybe then I'm wrong here and this should have been a red card. Because if you're going to retrospectively ban someone for hair pulling back then on Fellaini, then surely VAR knows, the VAR user, and I think it's Mike Dean, should know that and then say, yes, red card.
Yeah.
And that might change the situation. Because it would then be a free kick. It wouldn't be a corner, and then that's game over.
Yeah,
it's violent conduct.
It's violent conduct.
Cucurella, Cucurella's having to visit a hair loss clinic now because of this incident. Poor man is suffering.
So if there has been a retrospective ban issued previously, then I'll take back what I've said and say yes, then that should be a red card, sure.
Yeah.
Red card, free kick, Chelsea, sure, job done.
Yeah,
Game
so
over.
apparently that is the only
But if
incident
it's
known.
if it's viewed the same as shirt pulling, and if it's viewed the same as that, then yellow card VAR can't step in.
Yeah.
And Anthony Taylor's ball watching and missed the incident.
Oh, and he definitely has.
That's-
You see literally when they slowed it down, you see
His eyes
he
on-
only turns his attention to it once Cucurella's already on the floor.
Yeah. So at that point, he has to just go, either look at the linesman and see, did you see that, mate?
Yeah.
No. Then I guess it's another corner.
Yeah.
And that's what's caused it.
Yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised
So-
if, based on, like you say, historical events, that we see a ban come in for Romero.
Mm-hmm. And that is pretty much the conclusion of this week's first episode of the podcast. We do have the hot takes and extra time segment with the Q&A. But I think that's all from us. Anything you guys want to add quickly?
No, other than Liverpool just hit the post. And really, looking at this one, this also should be currently 3-1, but we'll see how this plays out in the next episode.
Yes, indeed. Wasted chances galore, maybe, and that's the story again. But I have been LAJS. That has been B-Rad. That has been Mersgoth. We will see you next time. Peace
Ciao.
out, guys.
Bye bye.